What's going on, YouTube? This is Jim Mafanis, and today I want to talk to you guys about Halo 5, specifically the Warzone. Now, I love the idea of Warzone. Take a little bit of the Battlefield giant open world combat, add in some vehicles, add in some ads like in League of Legends or Heroes of the Storm, and before you know it, you have a definitive Halo multiplayer experience. Something that is really groundbreaking, that has not been done in any of the previous Halos. Taking the big game mode and just like ramping it up to 10 and throwing it out there for us to play. And it is amazing. However, there are a few drawbacks with it, and as I have been playing now for a pretty fair amount of time, there's some criticisms that I want to give. Hopefully, the rest of the community shares my sentiment. We could be vocal about these criticisms, and hopefully they can be changed, because I think at the core level, the Warzone is freaking sweet. It's really a lot of fun. Now, obviously, one of the big pillars of Warzone is the requisition pack, which is controversial to some or others. I don't really mind it either way. You're still unlocking things as you play, so the more you play, the more you unlock, which is true of any other game. The only difference here is that there's a lot of random elements to it. There'll be a long period of time where I keep buying rec packs, and instead of getting new pieces of armor or new helmets or new weapon skins, I instead unlock some kind of super mongoose or some kind of super banshee or something like that. And that's fun, but that's not really what I want. I primarily use the just standard good old-fashioned assault rifle. I have exactly 2 skins for it, so I obviously use the default skin, and then I have this other skin that I like. That's the only weapon skins I have for any gun so far, so that's kind of lame. You know, you play other games like Call of Duty or Gears of War, and you have a little bit of options in your weapon skins, and I don't know why that is lumped into the rec system. Now, obviously, if there's different perks on the guns, a certain kind of scope on it, or different, firing effects or something like that, that I could understand maybe, but just regular weapon skins, it's like, oh. And, the cool armor is obviously really for everyone else because you're playing a first person, but when a quarter of my screen is always dedicated to a gun, it would be really nice if I could pick which way I wanted that gun to look. So that's my first suggestion. Take the weapon skins and pull them out. Have us get them another way. Have us earn points on the side that we could use to buy those. Something like that. Now, someone might say, you know what? Why don't you pull it all across? Not just weapons. Let's do armor and helmets as well. And I'd be okay with that. I mean, you could throw emblems in there as well if you'd like. The fact that it's random is misleading. It would be... If they still want to stick to the random system, it would be really nice if you could say, I want to buy a rec pack and, I want it to be like a vanity, or I want it to be a different type of gun, or I want it to be a vehicle. At least then I have a little bit of control as a player, because right now, RNG is not my friend. And this feels like Destiny all over again. And I know a lot of us who play Halo played Destiny when it came out, and you remember the frustration, I know I did, of all the nonsense you went through of this randomness trying to get things that you wanted. And over time, Destiny has put different guns and stuff behind the legacy marks and that sort of thing. So there's a paywall system there to get to it, and that's fine. I think Halo needs to head in that direction. Now, obviously, I saw that the rec pack earned $500,000 in its first week, and it's going to help future development and free DLC, more money for the competitive scene. That's great. But how about some weapon skins, guys, right? So that's my first suggestion. Second suggestion, and that's not really so much on Warzone, that's just the global, but specific to the Warzone, what I wanted to talk about. The games are very lopsided. Now, not every game is lopsided. I just finished a game where it was 1,000 to 951, and that was very, very intense. We were running back and forth at the last second, trying to secure more points, be smarter about not just running out there and getting killed, taking our time, working more, defensively as a team, and it was a lot of fun. It was a really tense experience that just, arose out of nowhere. It was very organic, and it felt very satisfying when we won. However, a lot of the games are not that way. A lot of the games are very lopsided, and you will find within minutes that you're just at one point, and usually it's the middle. Usually it's like the spire or the garage or something, and the enemy will get the east and west garrison or barracks or whatever the hell they're called, and they will just sit there and just constantly barrage you. And eventually, you'll lose that point, and then they'll just be standing outside your base. But they're not interested in blowing up your core. Oh no, they're interested in getting tanks and banshees and ghosts and every kind of freaking heavy weapon in the game and just sitting right outside the door and just blowing the crap out of you for a very long time. And it is very frustrating when you're on the losing side. And obviously, a lot of people quit. I play it out. I mean, what does it matter? My KDR is in the toilet anyway, so what does it really matter to me? But it's like, there needs to be some more balancing that is taken into place. A mercy rule would be really nice. If you don't have all 3 points, or they can put in some conditions. If it's a 400-point lopsided, whatever, they have to figure it out. There's some fine-tuning to be done there, but I really believe a mercy rule would be great. Most games have mercy rules. Rocket League has a forfeit mode. A lot of other games have forfeit modes. I don't know why it's not put in here. Obviously, with 12 players, there probably has to be taken some sort of vote as a team to decide whether if the team wants to progress or not. But I think anyone with normal peace of mind will quickly realize this game sucks. And short of quitting and just finding a new game, which may be a bannable offense. I've seen random people get banned for different things. Maybe, but I just like to stay and finish it out. That's okay. But it'd be really nice if there was a little more balancing, maybe a forfeit rule. As far as balancing is concerned, one of the big reasons why the game becomes lopsided so quickly is point number 2, and that is the bosses and the legendary bosses that appear throughout the map. Whether they be on a Banshee or a Ghost or a tank or just some big Promethean dude just standing there like pumping, iron or whatever. Those guys are tons of fun because it really changes the sway of the battlefield. Some of them are worth 150 points, which is a pretty significant amount. That's 15% of the total you need to win the game. And obviously, it creates these pockets of tension where as soon as the boss is uncovered, both teams will start running. So you have red, boss, blue. And it's a lot of fun because you get this interesting dynamic. Do you focus on the boss? Do you focus on the enemy? Do you take the opportunity to go back and try to capture a point that you missed? I don't know. It's a lot of dynamics, and it changes from match to match. There's no definitive golden rule on the best way to proceed. But the most frustrating thing is when both teams are clearly fighting for the boss, and you're standing there doing a moderate amount of damage to the boss, and the other team gets the final shot. Now, League of Legends players, you're familiar with this, the last shot rule, the last hit rule, whatever you'd like to call it. It sucks. That's the reason I quit League of Legends and I went over to Heroes of the Storm. Because a lot of people don't do anything and just show up at the last second. You say, well, Jim, why doesn't everybody do that? Well, then the boss would never die. But more importantly, it is pretty frustrating. So I would like to see some sort of percentage system put into place on bosses. I'm not saying that it has to be, well, you did 49% of the damage, you did 51%, we're going to dole experience evenly. It needs to be some sort of balance put in there. Again, I'm no game designer, but I'm telling you, it's extremely frustrating when 3 or 4 guys are sitting there shooting at a boss and somebody from the other team sneaks in with a lucky sniper shot at just the exact perfect time and negates all that hard work that was put into place. And I don't consider that like elitist or like me, like I worked hard, I should get my rewards. But it really is demoralizing, and it doesn't really seem to add a lot of value. And it really does make you wonder, well, why even do this at all? And I don't want it to be like that. It should be an incentive in order for you to go, because sometimes that's what you need to win. You might be on the cusp, you're losing, they have more points than you, you're clearly on a downward slide, but that boss may be the difference maker. It needs to be looked at, and it's something that's extremely frustrating on the opposite side. And the last thing is, going back to requisition packs, how you actually use the gear that you get. Nothing is more frustrating than spawning in with a vehicle. And thankfully, vehicles are behind your base, your closed doors, you're safe. Unless you're under attack, then I wouldn't even spawn a vehicle. But when you spawn in any other type of weapon, and you want to set a waypoint, the safest thing, obviously, is to spawn at your home base, because then you just kind of hoof it where you want to go. But if you don't, or if they're camping outside your base, you use your rec card, you get this really cool rocket launcher, and before a single shot is fired, you're sniped, you're run over by a warthog, whatever. And it is extremely frustrating. And I don't know how they can fix this, but I'll tell you that in games where it's close, I tend to not use my rec packs, and I don't think a lot of people do either for that exact reason. I see people use rec packs when it's a landslide. When you have 4 scorpions sitting outside your door. When you have the warthog with the laser beam on back, and they're all parked in a semicircle around the base, just taking pot shots at Marines and any Spartan who's dumb enough to spawn inside, the chasm of death. Very rarely do you see, hey, let's all go and buy some fuel rods, and then we're just going to go ahead and push these guys back. You rarely see that. It's really only used to kind of cement your lead. Now, people say, well, geez, Jim, your kill-to-death ratio's in the garbage can. I think you've only won like 4 Warzone matches. I mean, out of the thousands you've played by now. Actually, not 1,000, but I think I'm probably about a 15% win. You're the reason why, because you're not using your fuel rod to push the scorpions back. Well, I've tried that, and it's just really frustrating when you're having a hard time pushing out, and you're skeptical to use your cards because you know you're not going to last very long. So I don't know how they fix that. Maybe when it's a landslide, if you don't want to instill a mercy rule, maybe allow 1 free spawn of a weapon, or it's a 2-for-1. I don't know. Make it up. Every time you use a card, you get it, and then you get it for free on the next spawn. There's got to be some balance that's put in place that makes players want to put that risk and reward out there and say, you know what? I'm going to take this battle on my shoulders. I'm going to get a heavy weapon, and we're going to go push that armor away from our door, and we're going to go back and try to get into this game. But I'll tell you, towards the end, people don't do that. They spawn, they die, they spawn, they die. And I see it happening all around me from all other Spartans. So I'm not saying it's just me. I mean, obviously, I'm being vocal about it now. But I think other people are having the same thought process I am. Why would I want to use a ghost just to try to blow through the front lines to get to the West Garrison when I could just save it for next time when we're winning and go around and drive it for 20 minutes and kill people? So those are just a few suggestions or comments that I have seen, or my opinion rather, on what is going on with Warzone. If none of these balances occur, and they say, you know what, Jim, you suck, go sit in the corner and cry, you're Spartan bait for the real good Spartans. I'm okay with that too, because like I said, it is truly amazing. It's tons of fun. I have a huge grin on my face, even when we're getting our ass kicked, because it's just such a beautiful, amazing experience. The sound is going, the explosions are going. It is really a ton of fun. But if they want to make it a little more competitive and they want to make it a little more fun for guys who are having a harder time breaking into the Warzone world, I highly recommend they take at least some of my suggestions and say, you know what, this guy's onto something. And maybe, you never know. Anyways, that's all the time I have for today. I'm curious to hear what you guys think about Halo 5 Warzone. Tell me if it's the coolest thing you've ever seen or if it absolutely sucks. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.